Hello, everyone. Welcome to my Architects 2021 live talk. My name is Damien, and I'm representing AireGard Malaysia. And today I will be talking about AireGard HVLS fan, big fan for your big space. So my presentation today will center around to improve or to provide a better understanding on HVLS fan, specifically for specifiers such as architects, mechanical engineers, and so on. Now, before I begin my presentation, I always like to show to my specifiers that we should always strive to ask these 5 questions to the client whenever it is possible. Question number 1: what are the primary goals that you would want to achieve with your HVLS industrial fans? Now, the reason for asking this question is to get an overview of what the client's expectation is on installing HVLS fans. Now, bear in mind, everybody has got a different assumption or expectation on how this HVLS fans actually works. I have come across many customers in my initial years, in the earlier years, I would say, that thought that HVLS fans are just merely a decoration piece. All right. And I have come across many clients that has also told me that HVLS fan is meant for cooling. Now, it is thus very important to pose this question so that you can set the expectation of the clients, put it in the right track. Second question to ask is, do you need the fans to cover the entire interior space or just a portion of your facility? Now, this question actually relates more to how the client plans out the coverage area. Most of the time, clients will actually send us a copy of their floor plan. All right. And then the first thing that I jump into is to immediately ask the client, where is there any specific space that you're looking to cover? For example, if in a typical warehouse, most of our typical warehouse clients would normally want to cover only on the staging area or the picking area where they sort and unload, load and unload their materials. So instead of going through the whole process of coming out with a design to cover the entire warehouse, I find that it's a little bit ineffective when the client is only looking at covering the staging area. So that would help us be a little bit more efficient in our proposal. Now, the third question is, which I always like to ask, what obstacles might hinder the path of your fan airflow for now, right? But more importantly, in the future? You see, many a times there is always a gap in communication. So whenever we do a site visit, I will always ask client, okay, if you plan to install your fan here, I see there is an empty space next to it. What do you plan to do it to use that space for? Probably you want to erect a new set of staging, or racking, or you probably want to convert it into an office space, because that will actually determine how we are going to place the fan that we are going to propose now at this point in time. If you know very well they are going to build up a new office space in about maybe 3 months' time, then it really doesn't make sense to put it in a position where you want it to be and only to have an office sprung up in the next 3 months. Then the client will have to relocate the fan again. So that's not very cost effective. Okay. Now, question number 4: what specific interior climate concerns do you want your fans to address to? All right, many types of input. Some ask me whether our fan can lower effective temperature, ambient temperature. Some ask me whether does it blow down cold air. All right. So these are very important to address because your client or your potential prospect may have a kind of different impression on what HVLS fan can do. All right. In specific, HVLS fan does not reduce uh, actual ambient temperature. Okay. I will come into that in my next slide. And the last question is, if the customer ultimately want to cover the entire interior space, what would it be as an obstacle that will stop you from doing so? Now, this question is also very important. Say, for example, at this point in time, probably the warehouse, if based on a calculation, could probably fit maybe 10 pieces. But because of budget constraint, he maybe want to go for 5 first. Now, when you go for 5 fans first, the placement of 5 fans versus 10 fans is totally different. Imagine in the same square space, all right, in the same space, I'm allocating 5 to cover the entire area and allocating 10 to cover the entire area. It's a totally different design altogether. So this is also a crucial question to bounce it to the customer to find out whether actually do they have the plan to install the whole place or not. If they have the plan to install maybe additional 5 from the initial 5, so probably we can plan it in such a way that it is perhaps with the 10 fans in mind instead of 5. Okay. Now, why this is important? Because this affects fan layout design and airflow, but ensures the fan layout will accommodate additional fans in the future without disrupting the initial design. So that's the whole idea. Now, just to share with you our lineup, okay, we have a direct drive system, which is called the NeoDrive, and we have our conventional system, which is called the gear reducer type. Okay, under our direct drive NeoDrive system, all right, we have our PS series, our PSC series, PSM, PSX, PX, and PSP series. PS series is mainly catered more for commercial use, right? Of course, this is not in any particular order. Okay, it's just that it is designed more for commercial area because commercial area normally will have a relatively lower ceiling space compared to a warehouse. Say, for example, perhaps you're talking about 5 meters of ceiling height. All right. In a 5 meter clear ceiling height, you probably should not look at anything that is bigger than 14 feet fan. Okay. Next up is our PSC series, which is primarily catered for residential application. And why residential application? The design is a little bit more domesticated. It is designed to run at slightly lower speed and lower airflow, so that it would not be too intrusive. Because in a house environment, probably you're putting this fan in your main living hall or somewhere near your dining area, so you wouldn't want the fan to have excessive airflow, which in turn may disrupt the comfortability. And next up, we have this PSM series. Note here, we also put here as under commercial because again, some commercial areas, some really big commercial areas, like a shopping mall, probably they have like probably kind of like a high ceiling, you know. But it can be also be used in the industrial area. There is no clear definition between commercial and industrial. All right. In my context here, my definition of industrial are probably very dirty industry. Probably talking about this welding factories and so on. So for those kind of environment, we will recommend more if you it is much better if you can use our the gear reducer series. All right. And lastly, we also have the pole type HVLS fan. Now back to earlier on when I mentioned about reducing temperature. Okay, so what in fact actually what does HVLS actually does for you? All right, HVLS in essence helps to improve thermal comfortability. What do you mean by thermal comfortability? All right, thermal comfortability in essence we are talking about human comfort, our perception of comfort. All right, you see many a times you find that especially in days where it is extremely hot plus and it is extremely humid, I find those kind of times is extremely uncomfortable, right? Because it's hot, it's humid. And why is it not uncomfortable? It's very uncomfortable is because bad enough it is hot, and bad enough it is humid enough, and because of these two elements, right, it causes us to not be able to evaporate. So when you're not able to evaporate, right, therefore your body cannot lose heat faster. That is where you start to feel very suffocating, very uncomfortable, and very sticky. So is in essence, HVLS dramatically increases air movement to improve airflow. So when there is a dramatic increment in air movement, right, that is where it will help you to cut down or rather to improve your evaporation of your sweat, therefore releasing much more heat. In some of the scientific studies that has been done by scientists, the temperature or rather the perceived loss of temperature on a human body when there is sufficient airflow can be as much as 4 degrees Celsius compared to the actual ambient temperature. So in essence, my conclusion is HVLS does not effectively reduce actual ambient temperature. So if you are if you are out there looking for a climate control system where you need to keep your indoor space at a certain temperature, then air conditioning is the way to go. Climate control. All right. Okay. How do large fan work? Okay. Essentially, it creates a lot of air downwards, right, to the tune of 520,000 CFM. Okay. So as the wind actually gushes down and hits the floor, then it creates a phenomenon of what we call this horizontal floor jet. A horizontal floor jet actually is the air column that is going everywhere, 360 degrees, that is going to go as far as it could bring. And why HVLS fans are essentially more comfortable than a small home fan is because it is able to create a very high air column. Over here, in my illustration here, we are talking about a 3-meter air column. So when a 3-meter air column sweeps over us, it covers our entire body. All right. Why? In certain days, I'm pretty sure most of you will agree with me. On certain hot days, you are sitting at home, watching TV, and then you have your fan on. Of course, if you have air conditioning, this is a totally different story together. All right. Um, you start to realize it's getting very hot and warm, and then you will start to crawl down from your sofa to the floor, and suddenly you feel a bit more breezier. Now that's provided you're not sitting directly under the fan. So this phenomenon actually is because the air column that is created by your house fan probably is only about 1.5 feet to 2 feet high. So as you are sitting on a sofa, you are already at least 3 feet off the floor. That is where you don't feel any wind unless you crawl down and sit down on the floor. Or like how I always remember some of my my grandparents, they like to sleep on the floor during a hot day. That is where they feel it is the coolest. All right. So same concept here. With the difference is the HVLS fan produces much more airflow. All right. And if you look at the chart here, we are at least charting anything from 1 meter per second all the way to almost close to 4 meter per second. All right. So typically, this is how fan airflow behaves. All right, in an open space, as you can see here, the flow of air that comes down and goes sideways. In a closed space, it bounces off the wall and then returns back to the fan. All right, multiple equipment combination. There is a certain design protocol that we have to follow so that will minimize the turbulence here and traversing through obstacles. All right. Whenever you have obstacles such as maybe a forklift, or maybe you're racking, or no, or maybe a high pallet. Okay, air behaves pretty much like water. It will always find the easiest way out. So in this case here, probably um, this object here it's pretty high, therefore it traverses through the left and right side of the object instead of going over it, because obviously going to the left and to the right is the easiest path to go through this object. Okay, this is a common scenario, typical warehouse or factory where they have tons of all these wall fan. Okay, as you can see from the illustration here, it's not very effective as because the air throw is relatively very short. All right, the distance, and it does not give you envelope or a 3D breeze because it does not have high enough air column, and these are all very directional or direct airflow. There's no circulation. As compared to you see here, if the same space is replaced with 4 fans, you can see the coverage here is actually more than enough, and it creates a three-dimensional airflow. The whole place like as though it is built next to a beach where there is constant natural flow. Okay, next up, I want to talk about effective coverage area versus maximum coverage area. And essentially, what do you mean by that? There are many suppliers or brands out there, okay, that claims a much more bigger coverage area compared to what is effective. All right. So they use terms like effective coverage area and maximum coverage area. So essentially, every manufacturer actually knows how much or how far their fan can cover with an effective air velocity. Now, what do you mean by effective air velocity here is if you look at this chart here, if you look at this little guy here standing here, he is standing probably right at the edge of 15 meters from the center of fan. And our recorded air velocity for this particular model here, it's at least within the range of 2 to 3 meters per second. 2 to 3 meters per second is light breeze or gentle breeze. All right. The breeze probably, if I can explain to you, probably is if you're standing next to, if you're on the beach on a windy day, all right. So you feel like airflow coming through, and then it comes and it goes, it comes and it goes. All right. So we normally will only declare to our client an effective coverage area instead of maximum coverage area. All right. You see this little lady here, she's definitely already beyond our effective coverage area. All right. Beyond this green color line here is what we call maximum coverage area. What do you mean by maximum coverage area? All right. Sometimes because of sales and marketing gimmick, they probably want to portray or rather represent or misrepresent to you that their fan can cover a much more bigger area, thus is more effective than everyone else. All right. Uh, but when it comes to actual real life scenario that we are talking here, is The reality of the fact is this lady here probably will only feel 1 meter per second and below, less than 1 meter per second. Now it's a little bit tricky when it gets below 1 meter per second, because then you start to guess whether is there wind or not. Okay, and that can sort of backfire. All right, especially when your client has spent tens of thousands of ringgit, all right, to install the fan, and only for you to have misrepresented to the client that it can actually cover a much more wider area. All right. Therefore, we have actually like a calculated effective coverage area. Okay, we are a little bit conservative in that sense. All right, because we always believe in we don't want to oversell the system. All right, but generally 24 footer. If you look at the different models here, the general coverage area roughly is around 110 feet in diameter. All right. Okay. Of course, in square area, it's about 12,000 square feet. Some of our competitors I have seen, they claim that it's up to 200 feet in diameter and 20,000 square feet. And in most times, I also heard or heard from client that it always backfire, because customers' expectation is when you tell them it can cover up to 200 feet in diameter, right? Again, the scenario here probably if the client is standing here, then they will question you, I don't feel anything. So why do they claim maximum coverage area? Is because of the marketing mileage or sales mileage. I will call it sales mileage. All right, just to get the sale, they will tell you that it can cover for a pretty lengthy distance, but in actual fact, it doesn't. All right. How do they justify that? Very easy, because as long as if you are standing on the really the edge of maximum coverage area, okay, probably you can prove to your client by recording airspeed with your anemometer. Okay, is an anemometer is a device where you can actually record the current airspeed. All right, and you can tell the client probably, hey, I'm still recording 0.1 meter per second. There is still airflow. So that is not a very honest proposition, in my opinion. All right. Okay, a study done by this Mr. Tanabe, this engineer, many years back. All right, it was done in 1988. It is still applicable now. All right, they have done an extensive. He has done an extensive study. That came up with a conclusion that the higher the ambient temperature, there should be higher airspeed or air movement. All right, to actually have like a significant effect on reducing heat sensation, or to give you a better convective heat loss. Again, back to what I mentioned earlier, the higher the airflow, especially even in hot days, all right, it is very beneficial for us to help us to evaporate faster, therefore creating a cooling sensation. All right, but of course these are all clinical studies. All right, based on Mr. Tanabe's finding, 1.5 meter to 1 to 1.6 meter per second for an ambient temperature of 27 to 31 C is quite kind of like preferred, to have at least this kind of airflow, to at least try to keep it as much as comfortable as possible. All right. Okay. We normally would give this, all right, as a general guide to our specifiers, or to our clients, to do some sizing. Okay, but generally this is the guideline of what is the kind of height that the fan should be away from your finished floor, all right, to obtain maximum or optimum performance. Okay. Okay, a little bit on our drive technology timeline. We started off in 2014. okay, with the first generation dual stage helical gearbox, which is our the gear reducer type, which is still in action until today. All right. Then in 2015, we moved on with a new BLDC. We call it the brushless DC. All right. And it was in production for about 2 years, 2.5 years. All right. Until when we came out with the third generation, which is the permanent magnet synchronized motor, aka NeoDrive, from 2018 onwards until today. All right, just a bit of the historical timeline of our prime mover progress. All right, of course, this BLDC has since been discontinued. All right, and has been since been replaced with this permanent magnet synchronized motor system. Okay, a little bit of explanation on our NeoDrive permanent magnet. Okay, it has got a very high torque output, similar power output to our gear type. All right. The reason why we weren't very happy with this was it was only maxing out at about 180 Newton meters. So we weren't happy with the power output. Therefore, that was the reason why we had to come out with something that is able to match the power output of a three-phase motor. And in 2018, we managed to do that. Okay. This drive system here uses aluminum alloy heatsink for cooling. Okay. And the motor is actually optimized to perform in ambient temperatures up to 80 Celsius. All right. I don't think there's any location or maybe facilities here that is as hot as 80 Celsius. All right. It runs on ultra long life neodymium iron boron magnets. Okay. If you are familiar with neodymium iron boron, all right, this such kind of magnet is actually the most expensive magnet because of this durability and its long lastingness. All right, and it's actually a rare earth material. And for our shaft bearing, we only use this SKF 6206 Explorer series, which is like the top of the range ball bearing system. Okay, a little bit of the insight onto our three-phase motor. Again, you see here similar torque output up to 260 Newton. Okay, it is a helical gearbox. It is driven by a three-phase motor on a two-stage gearbox. All right. Of course, this gearbox here has got a lubricant inside. Therefore, there is a need for maintenance to change the lubricant at least once every 9 to 12 months, depending on your usage. Okay, next up, I want to talk a little bit about safety mechanism. All right, safety, like everything else, is very, very important. So as you can see here, there are 4 guide wires here that holds on to the drop tube. All right, and you have this, we call it the halo ring or the retainer ring. It forms a unison binding force that actually holds all the 5 blades or 6 blades or how many blades all together. Okay, the reason why for this is I will show it to you in a short while why this is extremely important. Okay. Okay, our blade design here, if you look at the hinge here, the blade design actually is kind of like outward and is holding onto the blade instead of most of a competition that adopts the insertion method. All right, of course, doing it this way, manufacturing in terms of manufacturing costing wise, is a whole lot cheaper than to do this, but it's also a whole lot not so durable in terms of the long run durability. Why? Because the cross sectional area of the holding power it's up to 2 times, more than 2 times of such kind of method. Again, this will also play into the safety factor, okay, which I will come into it in a short while. As you can see here, the distributed stress load, the load distribution here, as you can see here on our CFD, based on our CFD analysis, is very distributed. All right. As you can see here, it's pretty much very concentrated on where you bolted onto the blade. So there is a potential fatigue, all right, and may cause to unwanted failure. And this is something that you wouldn't want to see it happening, especially when it's rotating. Okay, next up, safety mechanism collision test. Now note that the moment the fan actually detects a fault or resistance, immediately the controller will actually cut out and immediately suspend the fan operation. That is where the retainer link comes into action. Because of its design, it holds all the blades together instead of letting it fly everywhere like a javelin. So this was the impacted area. All right. As you can see here, just a little bit of dent there. No big deal. Of course, this can be repaired and polished, and obviously, otherwise, it can be replaced with a new blade. Everything else is still intact. Okay, this is one of our competitors' system. All right, I'm not going to tell you who that is. Okay, probably some of you may know by looking at it. So yeah, let me just share the next shot with you. Oops, sorry. If you notice here, the blade actually broke apart. Okay, bits and pieces of the blade actually broke. Let me just put it into slow-mo. As you can see here, the blade actually bended and broke. All right, because it's only made of aluminum. The reason why ours didn't break is because it is made out of magnesium aluminum, not only aluminum alone. So this is where I think it will be a nightmare for any warehouse manager or facility manager to see this happening in your warehouse, and it's kind of scary because not only the blades are flying everywhere, it's bits and pieces of shattered blades and wing tips and so on. This is really almost like a death wish. Death wish, right? So okay, okay. Next, I'm going to show you. This is a real life incident that happened last year during MCO, and fortunately, it's not in Malaysia. It happened in Singapore. All right, of all the places, it happened in Singapore. What happened was somebody pushed scaffolding over to do some repair. They got too close to the fan, and palm the fan did not stop. It continued to hit on the scaffolding, and the whole thing just collapsed, and some of the blades actually flew somewhere and hit a boy here, a child here. All right, as you can see here, there is no retainer link. The blade here is totally disconnected. This is the hinge where I think there are three blades, two blades that were missing, that flew away from the hinge. All right. Okay, this fence actually belongs to us. All right. This guy here, back in 2017, he was hit by a forklift's mast. Because the guy decided not decided, he forgot to lower down the mast, and he reversed all the way to the picking area without realizing that his mast is still high up, and he hit the fan. So what happened was, this part here is totally destroyed, and but the hinge here is still intact thanks to the retainer link. The damage, change the blade. That is all, and no one got hurt because the blade was still intact. This happened last year in one of our clients' place. Okay, somewhere in Rawang. All right. What happened was, there was a pole, a vertical pole that was supporting a tarpaulin tenting that collapsed. All right. Don't ask me how it collapsed. I'm not privy to divulge that. All right. What happened was, it hit onto our fan, the blade. It completely destroyed the part here. All right, it bended the whole thing. So all it needed was to replace a new blade, and that is all. So as you can see here, the importance of having such kind of a safety mechanism. All right, if nothing happens, all right. But when something happens, you better pray, right, that there is something in place to make sure that it doesn't fall off and hit somebody. Okay, one of the reason, other than the retainer link and also the powerful hinge, is also because all our blades are equipped with the internal stiffener. It is very much like a aeronautical, as in an aeronautical or airplane wings. It has integrated stiffener to actually hold on to the blade. All right. Okay, next up, let's talk about a little bit on this mounting methods, on how we do our mounting. All right, we have a multitude of mounting system for different kind of structure. All right, obviously this is a circular hollow section, and this is a rectangular or square hollow section, and this is pretty much how you mount it. We also have like a RC beam mounting. Okay, it comes with all these accessories. All these are original accessories. This is a custom structure. We added this structure for this particular mosque 6 years ago, all right, and it's still standing, thank God. Okay, it is a 40-footer I-beam, all right, and then we installed it over with our I-beam mounting brackets. This is a relatively shorter custom structure. This is another custom mounting method where no hot works involved. All right, no welding. All original accessories. Okay, the reason why this has to be done was because to cater, the fan has got to be centered. All right, no welding works are allowed. So this is a customized mounting method for this job site. We also do an installation on the C purlin. Of course, this has got to acquire even, okay, like any other structure has got to acquire. We have to get this engineer's approval to do this, but yeah, it is doable. This is also another RCB mounting, but the difference is this is actually a metal structure. Okay, and it is in an existing metal structure. So we just drill a hole across and inserted a long thread. long threaded tube, and we just screw it on. We are also able to install like an extremely long drop. This drop here, I can't remember exactly how much, but it's definitely more than 5 meters. We further secure it with another extra tier of these guide wires. Okay, this is our mounting method for our pole fan. Okay, this case here, it is we identified where the floor RC beam is. All right, of course, verify and check by engineer. Okay, and we drill to depth as suggested by engineer, and we mount it and finish it with a decorative plinth block. This is done on a new RC footing. Okay, basically we dug up the soil as per engineer's recommendation. All right, and as well as the stump, the RC footing to engineer's specification. Okay, and this is the finished product. By and large, for cases where we have to mount our bracket onto a soffit concrete, all right, we will normally only use a HUT. All right. Reason why is because HUT is widely recognized by most of the civil and structural professional engineers. Simply because they have got this certification on the bolt loading. All right, and HUT are able to produce such kind of document, supporting document to us. All right. So this is a typical our PE report that we have done for countless customers. All right, we always believe that we have to follow due diligence process. All right, whenever it is required, we do not scheme. We will do it the right way. All right, because we felt, or rather, I felt that it is important that we conform to standards that are required. Okay, a little bit on the wiring requirement. Most all our direct drive system requires are all single phase. All right, and the outgoing only requires 4 power cables, minimum size 2.5 square mm. Our one and only three-phase HVLS fan now is a three-phase, obviously, three-phase power supply, but it also run on only 4 power cables for outgoing. Okay, this is our typical control panel. All right, and this is our VFD, which is the brain of the fan, actually controls the entire operation of the fan. Our control panel here comes with a its own internal cooling system. All right. High level interfacing is available subject to system integration compatibility. Timer again is an optional item. Okay, some people may do not need a timer. So if you need a timer, let us know. We can customize a timer for you. All right. Low level interfacing is also optional. All right, for cases where our client felt that there was no need for a high level interfacing with the BAS, so we will just go for low level interfacing. Low level interfacing means you're basically just controlling the start stop and reset. Okay, the running cost of a typical HVLS fan, if you use it for 8 hours a day, 30 days a month, for a 24 filter fan, it will cost you only about 75 cents per hour. But that again is depending on your tariff rate, or rather the tariff that you're paying. So the tariff that I put in here is at 50 cents, which is kind of like on the high side. Okay, so this is like kind of like on a high number. So if your tariff is probably less than that, maybe 30, 35 cents, then probably you're looking at a lot more lesser than 75 cents. Okay, we give all our fans come equipped with a 5 years warranty. All right, when I say 5 years warranty, okay, of course the aerofoils are lifetime. 5 years on prime mover, 5 years on our controller and its electrical components, and 5 years on labor charges, but it's only for warranty claim. That means if anything, if there is anything wrong due to this manufacturing defect, we will cover you for 5 years as well on labor. All right. Please do take note on this part, because a lot of our competitors actually offer up to 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, but they only offer 1 year or maybe none on labor. All right. Because if you're not careful, probably the labor itself will cost maybe 2 times more than the component that they are going to cover you under warranty. Yep. So we give you a no frill, 5 years full warranty. Okay. We are also CFD capable. We do a lot of computational fluid dynamic analysis for our customer site. Right. As a matter of fact, this picture here is an actual analysis from one of our customers' profile. So what is CFD analysis? Basically, we are using computer to actually generate, to see a simulation on how a particular fan, right, will work in a particular space. As you can see here, the kind of airflow that is being generated here, you more or less can see how much of an area it can cover and how fast and so on. Right. Okay, technical support wise, or for local installation in Malaysia, contact a local installation. All our installers are all in-house, right? 100% local as of now. Okay. Collectively, we have installed more than 1,700 fans in different locations, in Malaysia as well as globally. All right. We are a CIDB G3 contractor. We are registered with CIDB, of course. Okay. All our installers holds this green card, NIOSH green card, NIOSH OGSP. All right. For those that are in oil and gas, they will know what OGSP is. All right. As well as TM, NIOSH TM, and also working at height certification. Now, all these are very important. Why? Because there are many a time, there are a lot of sites that probably do not actually indicate their requirement. So we as a supplier, as a principal, as a specialist, we have to make sure all this is covered. All right, regardless of whether your site needs it or not, we have to ensure that all this is covered. All right. We also provide a full after sales service support. All right. Of course, warranty claim and maintenance service. Maintenance service as in for our direct drive model that is absolutely maintenance free. You probably we will call our customer once every year to make an appointment to see whether do we need to come and clean up the fan and do a 20 points check. Recently, we had a case where we went to one customer's place to do servicing. Initially, they didn't want to do the first year, and the second year they did not engage us. They did not want to do it. Last year or not this year, we went there, we checked it. Of course, the fan is still under warranty. We found out one of the electrical component on the controller was busted. So we informed the customer, hey, Mr. Customer, your one of your cooling fan is down. So never mind, because your fan is still under warranty, we will change it for you free of charge. Oh, these are the kind of services that we render. All right, after sales service support. Okay, next up, we are coming close to the end of my presentation. So just to share with you this IKEA warehouse, IKEA DC in Pulau Indah, we handed over last year. This is one of our milestone project. Okay, all in all, they install for a total of 20 fans. As you can see here, it is all installed on the staging area. Maybe it's a little bit hard to see the fan because they requested for a customized color. They wanted it in silver. It is really got sent to them. Why? Because their loading docks has got to be closed all the time, and there is no other form of ventilation if they had not installed the HVLS fans. So it makes total sense, to adopt this, especially when you have this kind of spaces. Okay, Notion Berhad. This is our one single biggest customer that has got the most fans in one facility. So as you can see here, they zigzag the fans. As you can see, the layout. All right, they zigzag the fan left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right. Let me see whether I can find a screenshot. Yeah, left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right. All in all 40 fans. All right. This is also one of our milestone. Is Sephora's first DC in Malaysia. Okay, this is their first DC in Malaysia out of Singapore. Okay. Don't mind the strobing because they will have no issue with the strobing because this is like the conveying area. All right. The picking area obviously is on the inside. Okay. And this is in Maple Tree. They installed 8 units. Obviously, okay, this is actually next up is I'm sure everybody knows it. This is Ninja Van. Okay, extremely high. If you look at the ceiling here, it's a little bit high. Also, two-tiered guy wires for additional safety. Some of it, not all, because this is probably on a little bit of the lower ceiling. But those that are on the higher ceiling in the center actually has got a two-tier guy wires supporting. Okay, this is also our video presentation for one of our milestone projects with Pavilion. It is located on the 8th floor of this Pavilion Hotel. It is one of the most difficult job last year because of the mobilization was actually one of the key challenge, and of course getting the design right was also one of the key challenge. But nevertheless, we managed to hand over earlier part of January this year to the client, and they say they're extremely happy with the overall performance of the fan. Okay, probably a little bit of site condition or site background analysis here. The reason why they want to put this up is although it is on the 8th floor, this particular courtyard here, because of the design of the building, actually is a dead space in terms of airflow. There's no airflow at all. All right, and they've been living. They have been dealing with this for the last maybe 3, 4, 5 years, until and as such where they felt that okay, MCO downtime last year, probably they could better use this place to probably make major improvement to it. Okay, and the result was fantastic. Also note that one of the key challenge I forgot to mention just now was also to locate the RC beam, the floor beam, so that we can mount this pole here. We've get the land surveyor here to identify the beam, where exactly the beam is, and so on. So it was quite a long process job, and we had to hack up all the tiles, run new wirings. Obviously, looking for the old tile was also one of the challenge. It was already discontinued and so on. Yeah, but finally we managed to pull it off. Okay, this is our portable pole fan. We recently installed in this Starbucks. Okay, Starbucks Reserve in Tropicana Garden Mall. As you can see here, we did not plant in this pole fan because this area here, we are not allowed to drill any hole. All right, so this is where our portable pole fan comes into picture. So as you can see here, it's very windy. It's going to be a very nice ambient. Have a cup of tea here. Again, this is also a dead space. As you can see here on the background, the trees didn't move much, but the air was all actually concentrated on all the sitting areas. So for all you Starbucks fan, maybe you can drop by and have a feel of the our pole fans. Okay, as for the rest of the key reference, we work with people like Mercedes, the BMW, Honda, Volvo. Our recent installation was most recent installation was for Porsche, Perodua, and BMW. Of course, this is BMW. What is Perodua, Proton showroom. This is Porsche service center in Penang. Later on, they will also implement the same for their Porsche KL and Porsche JB. We work with key logistics player, DHL. We have been DHL's vendor for the last 7 years. FedEx, Post Malaysia, we have been vendor since 2018, sorry. We also install a few fans for AirAsia. Japanese customers, we work with Daikin, Panasonic, Toyo, Sony. Obviously, Daikin up to date has installed more than 30 over fans in all across their facilities. And we also do, these are some of the other customers that we work with, like Shopee, Nippon, Tasco, GDEX, Lamsoon, and so on. Okay, this is where we are represented. Our HQ is in Sungai Long, Kajang. Okay, we have branches in Johor Bahru, in Penang. All right, we have a rep office in Kota Kinabalu. I didn't have the time to update that. We also have a service center in Kuching. Okay, we are international offices. We have in India, in northern part of India, in Punjab, Australia. Of course, is in Western Australia. We also have a distributor in Mauritius as well as Brunei. Now, to give you a summation, why choose to work with AireGard and not someone else? This is a very simple comparison that we made. Of course, durable and reliable, trusted and strong brand. This has not been updated. It's already more than 1,700. Most competitors are very new startups or a trading outfit. We call them trading outfit with little to no business core stability. They can sell the fan to you today. They probably won't be around in the next 6 months, especially in this kind of pandemic time. We have seen quite a few dropouts. Safety assurance, all our fans are all equipped with military grade safety features. Total unlimited coverage warranty for 5 years, like I mentioned just now. Aesthetically pleasing design. To note also, we have a liability insurance that we renew every year that covers up to 1 million ringgit. All right. And of course, we are NCCFD analysis capable. Okay, That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Do visit our online exhibition stand by clicking at the button below. Okay, I hope to see you again. Until next time, bye.